Hello, I'm Theodore Parker, and this is the Side Show. Today is Wednesday, July 27th, 2022. Right now it's about 73 degrees, going up to 88, but feels like 73. And after all this hot weather and heat advisory, around here we're now into flood warning watch. So it was raining yesterday, but it wasn't like downpours of it. But in some areas, I guess that's necessary. Flood watch. I was thinking, we get about this broadcast, the sideshow. I guess I've already mentioned the quote unquote, for lack of a better expression, the mission statement, the news in a manner that you do not receive in regular content. Um, and really, the news, we get it every day, in some cases 24 hours a day, depending on what station you're on, what channel you want to look at. I mean, you probably can get up in the middle of the night, from 12 midnight to 6 a.m. and find some channel that's broadcasting some news. So with all that going on, each item changes, and there are hundreds of items in the point of 24 hours coming across numerous news feeds, to the point where you might say, well, why are you telling me this? Well, that's a good question. It's not like we have to keep track of what's going on. The news just suffices to update us on what's going on. So that being said, some of the items that caught my interest for today, we're just talking about masks and COVID-19 and its variants for Omicron and BA4, BA5. President Biden is recovering from BA4, and his doctor's prognosis is good. And as I say, when early on in COVID-19, it was a 14-day quarantine. I guess with observation, that's been reduced to 10, and also with the availability of the vaccine, which has been reported he had both shots and the booster. But there was also inquiries as to the validity of adding another shot specifically for this variant that's driving cases up now. So now, monkeypox update. Originally, I said that there were various cases across the United States. I think it was 36 states had it. Numbers from 1 to 159 being the most reported in New York. Now New York's monkey cases are up to 1,000. So as you go about your day and your activities, bear that in mind. Some of the news items that caught my interest, as you say, why are you telling me this? Again, the Ukraine-Russian war, Russia invading Ukraine, etc. Has to do with gas supplies, and specifically related to Germany. At the time when Russia first invaded Ukraine and sanctions were going up in regards to that activity, one of the things that was stopped was the Nord Stream pipeline 2, which was supposed to be supplying gas to Germany. So as part of the sanctions, that was stopped. So all of the rest of Europe receives their gas through the Ukraine, but Russia supplies Germany. So it was recently in the news that Germany had their gas supply interrupted, and when most recently when it was restored, it was cut to 40%. When it was restored, that 40% was cut to 20. But at the time that they were interrupted, Russia speaks up and says that they had trouble with the turbines, so they were not pumping gas. So as it stands now, Russia supplies Germany, and the rest of Europe gets their gas supply through Ukraine. So with that being said, and the grain, them exporting 80% of their grain supply to the rest of the world, Ukraine has value on the European and international market. Back to Pelosi in Taiwan. I know with all the little conversation going on, why she should not, what China can or cannot say about it. Taiwan is Chinese, but not a part of China. Let's put this in it as well. Taiwan is the largest supplier of chips to the United States. So yes, Nancy Pelosi can go over there and talk about things that are on the table. Remember back a little while ago, interruptions of chip supplies, chips are in short supply chain interruptions, all of this type of thing. But again, speaking about gas, prices have continued to fall across the country, specifically here where I'm at, over the last several weeks, steadily coming down. Of the top items in the news, let's start with this one. Okay, outside the country, today is Wednesday, but because of global positioning, time, slots, and things of this nature, this is related to the Philippines, and is stated for Wednesday, but time difference, we're just starting our Wednesday. Their Wednesday is finishing up. So it's a strong earthquake kills 4, injures dozens in northern Philippines. A 7.0 magnitude earthquake in Abra. The Philippines is part of the United States. I mean, just like Guam, and it is part of that Pacific Asian rim territories that the United States influences or has opinions about and involved with. So it says a strong earthquake set off landslides and damaged buildings in the northern Philippines in Wednesday, killing at least 4 people and injuring dozens. In the capital hospital, patients were evacuated and terrified people rushed outdoors. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., who took office less than a month ago, planned to travel Thursday to meet victims and local officials. He was elected president. His daughter was elected vice president. By way of explanation, the Philippines lies along the Pacific Ring of Fire, an arc of faults around the Pacific Ocean where most of the world's earthquakes occur. It is also lashed by about 20 typhoons and tropical storms each year, making it one of the world's most disaster-prone countries. Last time this earthquake was rated originally at 7.3 at a depth of 10 miles because of the shift in the plates, but was downgraded to 7.0. A magnitude of 7.7 quake killed nearly 2,000 people in the northern Philippines in 1990. So that's kind of like your update for that outside the country, but within our sphere of influence, if I may. Now, on to the topic safe travel and safe everything to those people in the Philippines. Our condolences and sympathy goes out to them. Of the top items, Trump supporter who assaulted police at the Capitol gets 5 years in prison. Mark Ponder actually stayed 63 months. Mm, Heat warnings issued for the Pacific Northwest as temperatures break records. I think I already stated that earlier about that high temperatures related to climate control, the amount of forest fires destroying trees and grass and water related to our giving off carbon dioxide and breathing in oxygen and plants taking on the same. Crews make progress against destructive fire in Yosemite. Again, this wildfire situation in the specific area. They are making progress on that. I think Yosemite Park was closed for a while, I think 2 weeks, if I remember. Seahawks running back Chris Farson retires after 5 NFL seasons due to neck injury per report. We'll probably be starting the NFL season, training camps, and things of this nature soon. And it is one of those parts in football, the injuries are suffered. It is a contact sport. I mean, so is basketball, but not on the same level. Kind of goes back to those early things. Matter of fact, again, as far as name dropping is concerned, Will Smith did that picture of concussion, where he played part of a doctor who was researching those type of injuries in the NFL. Probably close to a true story. But this is a neck injury, so he will be retiring after 5 seasons. No, the White House isn't changing the definition of recession. Okay, this has to do with, again, the gross domestic product. I've given you some information before about the gross national product. And for this country compared to other countries, 7.4 compared to 10.4 related to China, et cetera, et cetera. And that was per capita. Okay, the gross domestic product, which you can get from things like Wall Street, et cetera, et cetera. Because it's done quarterly, these first 2 quarters have been down, but then you've been hearing moans and groans from Wall Street since last year, especially in cases of big tech companies and things of that nature. NASDAQ, the Dow, and the other one, S&P, I think. But anyway, it probably takes the Department of Economic, I think, growth to really decide whether or not there is a recession. They were saying it would be down 1.6. At this point, it's 0.5 or 0.6. And it might just be the idea that, jobs are up, you got a lot of stuff going on, so people are just tracking numbers a little bit ahead, wanting to predict the curve and have some control over what people are thinking. But there are some actual facts to these numbers. So now people are trying to redefine what is a recession. Walmart is slashing prices to get rid of excess inventory. Now, I was so concerned about Walmart and their food prices, especially somebody was going up as much as $1. And in some cases, I said, did I really pay almost $5 for this the last time I was in here? But it's regarding clothes. And when I went to Walmart to look for certain items that I was used to getting from there, they no longer carried them. So now they're slashing prices to get rid of excess inventory. Was looking at this item regarding Steve Bannon. And it's because they have podcasts and things of this nature and so forth and so on. But you just had the January 6th committee talking to a couple of men who, because of their position following Trump, had lost their jobs, lost their homes. You know, one young man was married and he was talking about he just had blinders on and was not really paying attention when he should have stepped back and did a better assessment with what he was getting involved in because it turned out to be life changing circumstances being involved in that January 6th riot. So this brought me to Steve Bannon. So it was just not too long ago, several weeks ago, not more than a month, when the January 6th committee was after him for failing to reply to a subpoena to come appear before them. Since then, I think he had a trial by jury, and the outcome was he was sentenced to 2 years. So I was surprised that he was on his podcast, and I'm not surprised. I guess it seems like anybody and everybody has a podcast because it allows you to bring people in who may be qualified, but at least have an opinion, and their qualifications may not be even be in the area in which they are giving their opinion. But it's good coverage, and they can go on for hours, two, three. Man, I don't think anybody does four, but three at least. So you can get a lively discussion, whether it's fact based or not. So Steve Bannon's on his podcast talking about he's trying to gather 4,000 shock troops to be prepared to take over the government agencies after this next election. So I'm saying, okay, I understand freedom of speech, but if you're trying to recruit 4,000 shock troops to take over the government agencies, shouldn't somebody be knocking on your door saying, I heard that? That's it. Hashtag.